Hello again.
Hello. Okay, so about that whole thing where I was going to put clay on it, if you look, that doesn't look like clay. That's because the clay does that.
What does it do?
It cracks like crazy.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, about that. No, the clay did not work. The clay was epic fail. So, we ended up using the Celluclay, which is, of course, the powdery stuff over there. And this is sort of what it looks like. You can see it ends up being very rough and very sort of unfinished looking. But if you also look at this horn, you can see that's sort of smooth there. Because you can sand this stuff.
The light's doing some interesting things with it.
Yeah. Well, but you can sand the Celluclay, so you can sand it down smooth. And because of how I'm going to end up covering this, I don't have to worry about everything being perfectly smooth, except for the horns. The horns I have to get smooth because those are going to be painted, whereas I'm pretty sure I'm going to cover the rest of the mask with some fabric to simulate scales.
How are you going to do that?
I'm actually probably going to get like some velvet or something soft, and then put a backing on the entire piece of fabric so that it's stiff. Then cut out scales and glue them on.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's that. There's the jaw. And this isn't too much heavier than how it started out. That thing has gained a pound or two.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty heavy. So we're definitely going to have to do something with the padding on this guy. I don't know if you can see the difference in the colorations. This stuff here is pretty much dry, and this is wet. You can see how it looks darker. Okay. Also, when you're working with this stuff, if you put your hand on it and it feels cold, it's still got water in it.
Ah, okay.
That's pretty much true for any product that you're waiting to air dry. If you're working in a semi-cold environment, aka it's not 90 degrees outside, then everything, as it's dry and it still has water in it, it will feel cold. Once it stops feeling cold, then it's dry. This I can actually see is still sort of wet here, here, here. There's a spot over here on the ear that's still wet. Okay. So it's still drying. Most of it's dry, but I keep adding little pieces here and there and working on it.
Ah, okay.
Let's see. Oh, come here, you monster. But it's relatively sturdy. Okay, so what we're going to have to do here is, this headband thing is not going to work for supporting the weight of this thing. It probably weighs a good 5 pounds.
Ah, okay.
Okay. I mean, I can move it easily, but it's got some heft. We're probably going to be taking a bunch of that foam over there. I cleaned the table. Yay.
There's table? My goodness, look at that. Oh.
There's table. We're probably going to take that foam over there, and we're just going to pad the entire inside of this thing. I may or may not take this piece out. We've got to figure that out yet. Bring the camera in here. Okay. If you can see, there's zip ties in here. Okay? Because these are 2 separate pieces. The blue and the headband are 2 separate pieces. They came from 2 separate things.
Ah, okay.
Okay? Now I need these up here.
Where did you get this anyway?
Home Depot.
I mean, this thing, what's that from?
See that white hat over there that's filled with stuff? It's from the inside of that.
So it's a hard hat?
Yeah, it's a hard hat. And this was a face protection shield thing. Okay. In the same section, like right next to it in Home Depot.
Nice.
So, and of course this is the plastic shield, which we have everything mounted on, which means there's space between my face and the mask.
Okay.
Which is nice. But we're probably going to have to fill all of this in with padding, and maybe take this out. I've got to play with it first and see if I can get around taking it out, because these 2 here are what prevents these from acting like a pivot and the whole thing sliding around.
Oh, I see.
So those 2 secure it, so I don't know if taking the center part out will cause it to become unstable or not. I just don't know. So we're going to have to figure it out and play with it and see what we can do. But that's it so far. And as you can see, we swapped stats, or to things that I put it on. That's a box of waste
kitchen trash bags, right? Yeah. Oh, mind the horns.
Yeah. The horns are pretty stable, thankfully. And yes, they are uneven. That's sort of deliberate-ish.
So why don't you tell us about the tail?
The tail! Oh, right, the tail. So I was on YouTube looking up ways to make a moving tail. And there was this video about a girl who had one of those noodles that you use in the summer to play with, the floating noodles. Well, unfortunately, it's Halloween, almost. So they don't sell those this time of year. So, of course, I went to Home Depot, and this beautiful, lovely piece of thing is foam insulation, or, well, rubber, in this case, rubber insulation for pipes. It's a plumbing thing. And it's got a self-sealing seal here. It's pretty thick stuff. Okay? But the thing is, it's super bendy, super flexy. And so what I'm going to do, and these were sort of epic fail, we'll not be using these. So You make circles,
Uh-huh.
stick them in here, and then it pivots around those. And I'm probably going to be making them only about that big.
Ah, okay.
So it'll be lots of little segments. I'm trying to imitate those wooden snakes that are cut into segments and put together. So you move it just a little bit, it just really sinuously moves.
Mm.
You see those at Michael's all the time. They're cute little toys. But they move really well. And this will act as the conjunction between it all.
Looks like you swallowed a gerbil.
And see, it covers around it just fine, so it'll make me a nice smooth surface. So any deformities in the styrofoam won't show up very much.
Mm-hmm.
And it just covers everything and moves real well. So that way I don't have to worry about how I'm going to connect those pieces.
Mm.
So that's basically the spine, and this is the tendon muscles.
There you go.
Skin. This is everything else.
That's cool.
So, and of course you can widen it everything else. But yeah.
So why do you have the nostrils facing sideways, just out of curiosity?
Because I like it that way.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, dragons are mostly aerial creatures, which means they don't rely a lot on smell. They rely a lot more on sight. Notice massive eye sockets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
It's sort of cross-eyed, isn't it?
yeah, the mask ended up, well, cross-eyed because these are off.
Uh-huh.
Those are where I see out of.
Mm-hmm.
Notice it's not a lot of visual room. I'm going to be mostly blind in this thing.
So they're not visual creatures, then?
The person inside may not be a visual creature.
Okay.
I can see directly, like slightly to the side and in front of me. It's very interesting. So
Okay.
I'm always looking at people from one side, sort of like your parrot looking at you.
Your mom and pop?
They are slightly off. It is my first round of trying to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, because really by the time it all gets said and done, you probably won't notice it. I mean, honestly, the sides are relatively even, the heights are relatively even, and this part's relatively even.
Okay.
So I'm not too terribly worried about it. The actual eye sockets are huge, which for aerial creatures means they rely primarily on their sight. The size of an eagle's eye, I believe, is the size of a tennis ball. They're huge because they see super long distances in super sharp detail. And most birds actually have nares, which are just little sinus holes back here in their beaks.
Mm-hmm.
They're all the way up there. Now, dragons do rely a little bit on smell when they're down on the ground, as far as I'm concerned. This is my mythology. But not predominantly, which is why they're sort of on the side. They're on the side so the particulates and stuff don't tend to fly in. But you still have breathing apparatuses and can still smell. They might, sort of rub their nose in the dirt type of thing.
So it's important to you that this thing actually be biologically accurate?
For the most part, I do a lot of research.